Hey, you're live. Right now. Just came up.
Okay. We just are restarting our show here today. Sorry, I had a little bit of problems seeing myself on air. There we go. Wanted my mask on. Okay, share. A little bit of problems seeing myself on air. I am back. Hello, everybody. I am live. Looks like it's good. Looks like we're good to go for the show today. Happy June 1st. Happy, I'm going to call it Pride Month. It's June. It is very nice out. I'm sporting my mask. If you're listening, you can't see it. But I just wanted to sport my mask at the beginning of this show to help promote you to wear your masks in public and to wear them when you are out at the grocery store or where you can't be 6 feet apart from people. As one of my producers here at the show pointed out last week, is a lot of our world leaders are not wearing the masks on their social media or when they do press conferences. And so I just wanted to help normalize this a little bit, get you a little more used to it. You know that this is going to be the main fashion for the next while. There's going to be a kiosk. Instead of buying a cell phone case, you're going to be buying a stylish new mask. So I'm going to take this thing off. There we go. Welcome. So yeah, a lot of the world leaders are not wearing these on air, and I think it's important if they're telling us to wear masks that they also demonstrate this. Now, maybe off camera they are not, so I just wanted to wear that mask, get you used to it. There's a lot of people making them locally. It's a great way to support local people. But yeah, masks are out, and in my business, you have to wear one, the employees and the customers. So yeah, just normalizing that a little bit. I make sure to wear mine out in public today, except for when I went and had lunch. But all the waitresses and waiters at Original Joe's were wearing them, and I appreciated them being open and talking with me today. So there we go, up and running. We are going to start with, we've got some major topics to talk about today. I just decided to do the show solo, even though things are opening up. I wanted to just do this solo today. I had some heavier topics with the state of the world to talk with you all today about. And yeah, so it's just me today, and I'm here for you. We're going to be talking about Pride. We are going to be talking about George Floyd and the state of the USA. We're going to talk about Alberta. Alberta is good to go, it seems like, so that was kind of the name of the show for me in my head today, Alberta good to go. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of local stuff. Obviously, my personal life salon opening tomorrow to more of a full capacity, and that pesky, destructive arson that happened after last week's show. So we've got a few things to talk about. Here we go. We're going to start with Pride Month. So in case you're unfamiliar, June is typically Pride. Last year was a very special year for Pride. It signaled the 50 years since the Stonewall riots, and it also signaled 50 years since homosexuality became legal in Canada. So 50 years ago, it was 1969 illegal to be gay in Canada, which is just kind of shocking. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the Stonewall riots. The Stonewall riots happened at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, and it was a place that was raided. The employees and the patrons were raided, brought out on the streets, arrested, and this sparked 6 days of protest. Quite violent protests against law enforcement, and it really did spark and start the gay rights movement. It's spilled out onto streets around New York and helped kind of cement what the future of gay bar scene in New York was. To put this in context for you, in the 1960s, it was not a welcoming place for the LGBTQ plus community. It was illegal for same-sex relations, and so people flocked to gay bars to as a refuge to, be out and to find community and to gather. And the authorities would shut down these bars where there were suspected gay activities going on, citing that they were disorderly. And these restrictions were lifted in 1966, but up till then, these bars were being raided and the people were pulled out onto the street, arrested, and basically outed and humiliated. And when that happened at the Stonewall Inn, enough was enough. In 1966, some of these were LGBTQ were now allowed to be served alcohol, but they were still not allowed to be dancing, holding hands, kissing anyone of the same sex. So that's really why Pride started. And now, we think of it as a colorful, fun celebration. But for a lot of people, those grassroots of it being more of a protest and a stance are really what drive it for them. So Pride has become a lot more colorful and acceptable around, not everywhere in the globe, but it's highly recognized now. But it's a tricky Pride this year because of COVID worldwide. Basically, the world has canceled the Pride events because we can't have large gatherings of people. And this hits particularly home for me because as a founding member of Lethbridge Pride Fest, we have had to cancel any of our gatherings. And this puts us in a hard position for Pride because really what Pride means to me and means to most communities, and I hope means to you, is community and coming together. And, everyone in that rainbow, in the LGBTQ plus, can kind of come together during this time and celebrate. And for me, it's really about being visual and showing that there is this community out there and letting the public know that we are here and we are a part of your community. We are a big part of your community and we enjoy being part of your community. And this also brings a lot of allies in, and it's not just queer people coming to Pride. So this year has brought a lot of challenges for Lethbridge Pride Fest. I'm not officially speaking on Lethbridge Pride Fest behalf, even though I am current vice co-chair for Pride Fest, with Jessie Victoria being our president this year, and she's doing a great job even with the COVID situation. So we weren't able to have a lot of our events you're already been familiar with. We had to cancel our Diva Cabaret and our Pride fundraiser, and obviously with our statement 3 weeks ago, we had to cancel Pride in the Park, the Pride Parade, and any gathering at our flag raising, our Trans March, our Pride Dance, the list goes on, our Variety Night. It's pretty tough for us right now, and I'm sure you're all looking for your normal festivities to go to this summer as things lighten up and the weather gets better and you think you can go to all these festivals, but the reality is we're not able to have any of these gatherings. My friends who run Big Wood have canceled it, and we all know about the cancellations. A lot of people say, why don't you have the Pride Parade and just do like 6 feet between people in the Pride Parade and make it extra long? The problem is crowds will gather and we can't guarantee that these gatherings won't be over 50, so that is where we lie with Pride Fest. We are working on some big announcements of things to do during Pride that won't require large groups, but will hopefully bring our community and our neighborhoods a little bit together, and so you can show your pride in your neighborhood and just kind of let it be known that you are here and you're visible, or you are an ally and you support us. One of my guests last week, Sally, she wore a full rainbow outfit to go teach today. She likes to kick off June 1st that way, and she put a rainbow flag out on her front step. She's just someone who really supports the LGBTQ community, and I really appreciate that. I was out at London Drugs, and they painted their window with a big Pride display, and painted their sidewalks with messages of pride and inclusion. And I photographed that and put that up on my stories, and I thought that was really great. So thank you for getting on that, London Drugs. I thought that was really awesome. Okay, so since we started with the LGBT community and how Pride really started, this brings me to a very, very serious and very sensitive topic, and it kind of steers us away from COVID for a minute, which has been kind of the ongoing discussion for months globally. Oh man, hi everyone watching. Okay, I'm gonna have a little drink. Man, it is toasty in our studio tonight. I don't know, I think it's about 21 degrees out there, so it's a very beautiful day. Bit of wind, but all right. So the story that obviously is gripping the world is George Floyd and what has happened to George Floyd. And I want to, talk about this topic, and I can see your comments, so if you want to chime in or have a comment, I can see them while I do the show. So if you aren't familiar with George Floyd, your head's probably been under a rock or in the sand, or you're just not watching the news because it's actually so terrible. It's hard, and I found myself emotionally trying to come to terms with actually doing the show and talking about this tonight. Talking to some of my friends last night about it, and I just wanted to know how to approach this subject. So George Floyd, a 46-year-old man raised in Houston, Texas, was approached and removed from his vehicle. He was in suspicion of using a fake counterfeit $20 bill, is the story that I could, get. He was unarmed and brought from the vehicle. George Floyd suffered from claustrophobia, and an officer, Mr. Derek Chauvin, I don't know how to say his name, Derek Chauvin, handcuffed him and laid him on his stomach outside the vehicle, and there were people watching and videotaping this, and George Floyd, I know, I've seen it. It breaks my heart too, and here we go. So George Floyd was laying on his stomach, on his, you can see the video, which is very horrifying that this is caught on tape, but it's actually not horrifying it's caught on tape, it's horrifying this even happened, and that this does happen and continues to happen, and there is a real reason why there is such outrage and why the protests are happening in the States. Derek Chauvin, he had his knee on his neck, and in the video you can hear him say, "I can't breathe," and that is the main takeaway from this, and that people are, chanting when they protest. And this statement, "I can't breathe," I mean, it rings. This is not about me, but it rings especially true to me because of recent events in my life, and I just felt very triggered seeing this video and understanding the fear that he was going through. And so you can hear him say multiple times, "I can't breathe." He says, "Mama." He says, "Please." He says, "I am through. My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. Everything hurts. They're going to kill me." Onlookers heard him say this and recorded this, and the officer stayed on his neck for 7 minutes and 53 seconds. The imagery of this officer is so disturbing. You can't help but feel sick from seeing it. I wish I didn't see it, but I did, and I just wish it didn't happen, then we wouldn't have to. And I think it's important that we acknowledge what is happening in not just only the USA, but around the world for discrimination, racism, and but this is specifically about African American people in the world and authorities, and it's not just police, but the racism and violence that is still happening. And I think there's a big reason why there are these protests happening, and it's changing daily, and it does take the focus off of COVID, but it's not really a happy one, and it's not really where we can see a resolve. So after 7 minutes and 53 seconds, George Floyd was unresponsive. They checked for a pulse, and they couldn't find a pulse in his wrist, and he was taken to a nearby hospital and pronounced dead. I mean, I don't know how to say her name. Kagumi Martin. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her name right now. That is terrifying, right? And I understand that's a real fear for you. Man, I agree. I see a lot of comments. I see this as a tough topic for a lot of people. I just want to send my thoughts out to George Floyd's family, his friends, his community, and he's just a 46-year-old man, unarmed, and just taken in an awful way. And I learned he was a football player, and I feel for the man, and I feel for the world and everyone who's marginalized, especially the African American community in America right now, and not just America but around the globe. This comes hot on the heels of recent killings against unarmed African Americans in the United States, namely Breonna Taylor, who was shot in her home. She was an EMT who the police did not knock on the door, came in plain clothes, and her boyfriend did fire a shot, but armed men broke into the home without knocking and civilian clothing, and they shot her dead. Not only her, but then we got Ahmaud Arbery, and not to forget to mention the 17-year-old Trayvon Martin killed in 2012, which caused a huge outrage. With Ahmaud Arbery, he was jogging in his neighborhood and hunted down by a father and son and chased down and shot just a few weeks ago. So this is an ongoing issue. And then, Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old in 2012. It's an ongoing problem and issue, and it's, there's a real reason why there is Black Lives Matter, and I see a lot of people who don't seem to understand what that means, and it's just kind of confusing to me, and I can tell by your comments tonight that I know, and that was just, again, the list is too long, and I do see you, it's watching. The list is too long, and these are too many incidences, and it happens again and again, and I don't know what the answer is. Well, the answer is stop being racist and stop using excessive violence towards marginalized populations, and we're talking specifically African Americans right now. And I just think, like with Pride Month and stuff, and this is all happening, it's just even more jarring. And with the COVID, I felt like people were getting, we saw a lot of positive things come out of this. Oh man, we see a lot of people coming together for each other and being supportive of people's mental health and financial issues. And I've seen a lot of good things come out of COVID. I see a lot of change, and then for this to spark up and kind of take over, it's a lot, And I can see your comments. It's hard to even watch the news lately, and I understand. It took me to actually go in and write down some notes so I didn't get this wrong tonight at lunch. It took me to those kind of dark places of racism, violence, discrimination, and I'm sure everyone has felt some sort of discrimination in their life, but it's it's important to put yourself in the place of someone who is constantly living in that. And yes, there is such a thing as white privilege, and I know that some people have spoke out against that, namely, what's that lovely man? The president just gave him an honor, Medal of Honor. What's that lovely guy? Rush Limbaugh. Didn't think Rush Limbaugh didn't think there's anything as white privilege, and I thought that was a pretty bullshit thing to say. And not only that, he just got awarded a medal by the president. So I thought that was crazy. There is riots all around. There is tear gas being used on peaceful protesters. Obviously, with COVID, large groups are gathering, which is also just another scary part of all of this. And in pure fashion of the President of the United States, I don't feel like he's handling it very well with his statements. If you loot, we will shoot. There's been a lot of crap coming out. I couldn't actually stand or stomach to watch him talk anymore, so I just had to steer away from that aspect of the show tonight, because I literally just couldn't watch him say any more things. So, police brutality is a whole new level, and I thought it was getting better, and I know that prides across the world and globe uninvited police to be in the parades, and it is confusing because our local police, Lethbridge, they were asked by some of the community to not be in the parade, not last year, the year before, and there was some controversy to that, and it was a global movement, and I know that our police have made a lot of efforts with the LGBTQ community, but we have our own marginalized communities in Lethbridge, namely our Indigenous communities around Lethbridge, and with our safe injection site has always been a hot topic. And again, I've stated this on the news, and I'll state it again. One of the topics we don't talk about in Lethbridge is inherently a lot of racism is happening, and a lot of comments that are derogatory to these marginalized populations in our community. I'm very aware of these issues. I see them. I realize, I live right downtown, kind of the hot zone for all this. And so, again, we're talking about the United States and police. Yeah, I know. There is some good hopefully coming out of this. The officer was arrested for, it looks like manslaughter, and his wife immediately filed for divorce the same day that he was arrested. So I'm glad they did take action, but I think they're calling for justice for some of these other cases, like Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and a lot of these cases go penalized. And I understand police have a hard job, and I understand if they're under attack. I understand using force or weapons if their life is in danger. They are there to protect us, but it does seem to go too far in too many cases with unarmed people. In Florida they have some really crazy laws that really allow civilians and police officers to basically to kill. The stand your ground law and such. There's some pretty messy things going on. It's again a great reason that I'm really happy in Canada we don't have the assault rifles that they do in the States. And then now that Trudeau has actually banned them after our worst mass killing just again 6-7 weeks ago. So yeah. Again, yes, racism is not, it's because I'm focusing more on what's happening in the States today on the show. A lot of us can feel discrimination. Even sorry, even being a gay man, of course I've experienced loss, and I touched my face, which you shouldn't during COVID. Sorry, I messed up my eye. So, but even I do, even though I'm not completely a white man, I am of Canadian or Irish and Turkish descent, and I have felt racism throughout my life, growing up sometimes I'd pretend I was Indigenous just to, shut someone up who was saying something racist or stupid. And then being a gay man, you have another. But I have felt that that white privilege and being a male in this society, even though I have the ethnic heritage and that I'm LGBTQ. So we all can have that. And I noticed one of my listeners, her sons I know are mixed race, and she has racism hurled at her and her boys, and mostly her boys. So, and we all know. So I guess my message is it is Pride Month, and I think we need to just, be a little more colorblind, be kind, and not let people get away with these kind of racist acts, these violent acts. We've seen it growing in the States since Donald Trump took over office. He attacked everyone from the Muslim community to a religion, and the Mexican community, and Mexico with the wall. It's just basically no one was, women grab them by the pussy. It just hasn't stopped. So I'm not really shocked that we're spilling into this right now in the U.S. I just want to send some love out there and some positivity and some justice, and people just do better. And that is what I wanted to talk about today, and I hope I did well. Okay, there we go. Okay. Taylor Swift said we will vote the Cheeto out. She didn't say Cheeto, but she did say we will vote out Trump. I hope that is true. I watched RuPaul's Drag Race season finale, and they really promoted getting out there and voting. So if I was American, I'd be out there and voting. So I'm gonna just breathe. I don't know why it stresses me out so much. Well, of course it does. It stresses us all out. I can tell by your comments. Okay, we're gonna talk about Alberta. So Alberta, good to go. It looks like we're good to go. It's what it seems like. That's what the news is pointing at. I'm going to go into my notes here just a little quick so I don't mess this up. Oh, I wanted to say, today Calgary had a demonstration for George Floyd, and Lethbridge is having one at City Hall at 3 o'clock on Thursday. So Thursday there is a gathering at City Hall for George Floyd and against racism. And so if you're free on Thursday at 3 o'clock, I suggest you go to City Hall. Try to still physical distance, and you can go and wear a mask is another option. So that is in Lethbridge, Thursday, 3 o'clock. Okay. Well, I believe this is our 5th day, our consecutive day in the South Zone with no new cases of COVID. This is quite shocking with how this is spread around the globe and around Canada and around Alberta, but it seems like we are doing good. I wonder if you also feel like we are living in a Stephen King TV series Under the Dome. I don't understand this, but I'm happy about this news. I had a client who works at one of the medical facilities in Lethbridge last week come in, and she told me this, and I'm not naming names, but I didn't know if I believed it. I didn't know if this was a real article, but she claims, and again, I'm happy if this is true, but the warm weather does actually slow down the COVID spread. Not only that, she said rain does as well. And if this is true, which I'm thrilled by that, because we have had a lot less cases, and that's why kind of this fear of flu season when it gets colder, and this fear of wave 2 comes out. And wave 2 also could mean, of course, people gathering and this virus spreading further and quicker, like it has happened in other places. So I don't want to give any misinformation, but I'll tell you that sun and good weather certainly makes me feel better. I think it makes you all feel better. I see everyone out and about as the businesses and city opens up. I see people happy to be outside, walking, using restaurants, using local and not local stores, but the streets are busy and you feel it. And it's a lot to comprehend when we've been so locked down and put into a space of fear for the last several months. And I know a lot of you are apprehensive, and some people don't believe the virus was ever a threat. There's a lot all over the place, and so I was just checking in on how you're doing with all of the reopenings. I am going to talk more about the stats here. So, in the South Zone, there is 18 new cases in Alberta in total. So that brings our cases in Alberta to 7,010 to date. So that is today's status, 7,010 cases, and there is 584 still actively sick people with the COVID, and 6,283 people have recovered. No more Albertans have died in the recent 5 days, so no more Albertans dead, but our total of casualties in Alberta of the COVID is 143. So there is our official COVID stats. It's not as devastating, it's still devastating. 143 deaths is too many, but it's shocking compared to what predictions were when this started and how fearful we were. And of course, my fear is we're going to get too lax and we're going to just, cause this big spread. I love you too, and I will see you at 9 a.m. I see my client commenting. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, we are definitely looking good compared to Quebec and other cities. And I don't want to brag, but it's this thing that's like a little bit of Albertan pride where I just want to give myself a pat on the back, give yourselves a pat on the back, because, we were shut down and we did self-isolate and we have been doing good. So again, I wanted to come on the show this morning, or this evening. Obviously I'm flustered today. With my mask to promote safe practices through this as it lightens up. And I know there was some backyard parties happening, and I went and watched RuPaul's Drag Race with 6 friends, and we got called out on social media. So, just making sure that you're being safe and being careful is really important. There we go. COVID. A topic that's not going to go away anytime soon, but hopefully it will get better for us. So last week I finished the show, and after the show I knew I had a busy week. Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, doing hair, busting, creating the magic behind that chair, getting rid of all your COVID hair, loving it. I love being back at Catwalk Salon Spa. Tomorrow I have a full crew. We've been approved to have 20 people in the building, and I think tomorrow we're going to hit that max of 20 people in the building. I'm hoping it to get rised up further June 19th when we can open up our spa, take care of all that body hair and those pedicures and those nails and those lashes. So I really hope things stay on track so the 19th we can open up. I know a lot of businesses are waiting to open up still, but I also see people who are now getting laid off. My friends from the NMAX are getting laid off, and I just have people, as we go back to work, people getting laid off. So I'm excited to see some of my work colleagues from Catwalk starting tomorrow, and to see all their clients, and just celebrate that this. And I know you'll be smiling under that mask. I just won't be able to see it. So last Monday after the show, this is the story. This is what happened. Here we go. I go home and I'm having a really nice night. I cook some dinner. I eat late, and I'm not having any alcohol because I'm back at work and it's been COVID time. There's a little bit more wine, and now I'm trying to have healthier practices, some exercise, getting better sleep hours, getting up early in the morning. I'm up minding my business, put on a movie, I'm watching Jurassic Park, Fallen Kingdom, and my cousin calls me and says, Levi, I need a costume for my class to read superhero stories to online. She's doing the teaching online. And so I said, I have a Power Rangers costume that will be hilarious. It's got muscles, and then you can take off this Red Ranger mask and shake out your hair. And so she's like, I love that idea, because she borrowed my Wonder Woman costume for her kids another time. So I said, come pick up the Power Ranger costume, I'm good. And so almost 10 o'clock at night, my cousin Danielle, who has a show here on Jess FM, came to get my Power Ranger costume. And I go downstairs and I go hop in her car. And I'm like, here you go, it'll be great. This is how the mask goes on, tuck your hair in there. And I can see, as I'm sitting in front of my house, I can see all these flashing lights by Foster's. And she goes, yeah, there was an ambulance, and I saw a fire truck. And I go, well, let's go check it out. She goes, you're hilarious. And I'm like, I always want to see what's going on downtown. I live downtown. I want to see what's happening. So I literally walk around the corner with her, and I turn on my camera because there's 3 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, and you can see this on my Instagram, you can see this on my Facebook. I'm literally filming. I go, hey, that looks like it's really close. That smoke looks like it's coming from my building. I turn around the corner and I'm like, my building's on fire. That's my house. I like literally, you can hear me screeching this on this videotape. And then the firefighters are putting out this garbage that is burning in the back of my salon. This is concerning to me because this is my home, this is my business, this is my property, and I have a wooden balcony covered in lattice, and then huge wood doors that lead to my middle floor, which were very close to these flames. Regardless if they weren't, it's still concerning when there's a fire in the back of your building. The video, I seemed quite jovial, but I was actually quite shocked. My neighbor came down and she said, my first thought when she looked off her balcony, I only have one neighbor downtown. And Wilma, I'm so grateful, she saw the fire. She said her first thought was, I was having a bonfire in the alley. And I was like, are you kidding me? I've been here 18 years, Wilma. I have never had a bonfire in the back alley. So, but that's where she's like, it was hard to comprehend that it was on fire, right? So she could see that my lights were on in my house because I was just watching TV. So, and she didn't have my number, so she called 911, which I'm grateful she did. But I was totally unaware there was a fire going on. There was a quick response, and they got the fire taken out. The problem, and if you are on my social media, you'll see the city was still working on the building today. The problem with this was that it also burnt the wire, like the main power source from the city that powers my complete building and salon. So it didn't burn through, so we had no power, but it had burnt off all the casing and the wire started to fray in the back of this power source. So that is what happened. That's why they were jackhammering. So if you think, oh, it's just a garbage can, when the fire investigator came to look, he asked what was in there, and he was wondering if an accelerant was used. In our salon, anything that is aerosol or flammable or plastic is all recycled. So our garbage is mostly tin foil and highlight wraps and some till tape. So our garbage is not that wild. It's but that is what burnt. It burnt the bin completely to the ground because of recent things that have happened in my life, which regular listeners and my friends and family know. My life was in danger twice in the last year, and there are restraining orders out there. So my brain went there, and I didn't really think that these 2 men would try to burn my house down, but until I saw surveillance tape showing who did it, I did have a rough couple days there, and I think rightfully so. Anytime that your building or home or property is threatened like that, and there's a fire which can be so destructive and so fast, and my brain played tricks on me, so didn't play tricks, so you would naturally be suspicious. And with the firefighter saying there could be an accelerant used, it only made me feel like worse about it. But there is footage, and you can see that now on the police website and Facebook. The individual who lit this fire is very distinctive looking, and they seem to have a very recognizable hairstyle. And so if you do know this person, there's a $1,000 reward. Not only would I like it because my building was attacked, but there's also been one of the optometrists behind Owl and Union Salon's dumpster was on fire, and Unami's. But Unami's, the person was arrested. This is not the same person in question. But as far as I know, there's been 4 fires other than Unami lit since the COVID virus. So if this is the same person, I think they do need to be arrested. They need to be arrested for one fire. It's unacceptable, it's destructive, it's vandalism, and it's dangerous. So there we go. That being said on that topic, that is all I got to say about that. So our power source is back at Catwalk. It is replaced today. I was up at 7:30 a.m. with the city as they jackhammered the back of the building to replace this wire. It's not an easy feat. We were without power for some of the day, but we were closed, so it didn't interrupt business. And I didn't want it to interrupt business tomorrow as we open up full steam ahead at Catwalk Salon Spa. Okay, before I sign out on this happy June 1st for the night, I am just going to say this. It's official. I need a talented, at least one, talented, licensed hairstylist to join my team. So, if you know someone or you are a hairstylist out there who's looking for a change for a fun, supportive, creative, innovative hair salon, and you want to just up your career and have that support and that awesome downtown catwalk lifestyle, I am looking for at least one talented member to join my team. So you can message Catwalk. We are looking. I know salons are opening up. Maybe you're going back to a salon you're not really thrilled with. Maybe your salon closed down. But if you're looking for a place to hairdress and show your creativeness, licensed, talented hairdressers, Catwalk needs you. With COVID, a lot of people have had time off to rethink their life, their goals, what they want. Some people enjoyed the time and they're not going to go back to their job or go back to the same job or go back to working as hard as they did. People enjoyed being with their family and kids more. Some didn't. Some people are looking for career changes. They're moving. I see a lot of movement, and I think we're going to see a lot more movement. So there is going to be a lot of businesses and people suffering, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities out there as well. So my mom probably wants to kill me for making that announcement tonight, but it's important to me because I need to build that perfect catwalk team again as we open and move forward life after COVID. So there we go. That is all I got from the show for you tonight. We're not supposed to. We have one rule on Jess FM, and it's don't wear green. So you can see the green stripe on here is not working because we do use a green screen. I'm not really in this lovely living room. I wore my old Pride bow tie. I brought my favorite strong superhero who's African American, who I just love, Storm Oro Monroe. I hope she gets her own solo movie after all this. These are my strength totems for the day. So happy Pride Month. Thank you all. I'm going to get a guest for next week. I don't know what the show will be out. It seems like every week something new and crazy happens. Hopefully it's a positive new and crazy and not more sadness and destruction. So I hope I gave you something for your ear and your brain. You can follow Jess FM on Facebook. You can follow Jess FM on Instagram. You can follow me, Levi Cox 6 on Instagram for all the tea, madness, and more of me, Levi Cox 6, Catwalk Salon Spa. And thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you all have a good week, and our prayers go out to everyone suffering and to the United States and all around the world. Signing out.